What is up, everybody at ChatGPT for Business and Life? It's Friday here on the East Coast of Ohio, so Eastern Standard Time. With that, we are very excited. It's Friday. And with it being Friday, we are excited to talk about this new Microsoft um, new future of work report. In the new future of work report that Microsoft just put out, there's 41 slides and it's covering essentially a summary of all the research from Microsoft um, that they've compiled over the last year. They have put this report together for the last few years. Their first generational change was COVID and going to a mobile workforce. Obviously, that carried through 2022. And now with this year in review, it's AI and a very AI heavy report. If you don't have time to go through it, I definitely understand because it's very meaty. But if you do have time to review it, it has dozens of authors and editors that have put their spin on this report. With this report, there's essentially recommendations from every one of the Microsoft research teams. And they're just seeing how AI and co-pilots and large language models all have come together to build this new generative turn in the workforce. What this report is covering, it's LLM, so AIs for information work. So, how's Copilot going to impact your job? Is it going to boost your productivity? How's it going to do that? How are you going to evaluate it? And how are you going to adapt to it? It covers the critical thinking capabilities of large language models, maybe where they hallucinate, how they can handle complex tasks, how they can actually enable micro productivities, where it will take the job of um, some of those mundane things, but cognitive things that we used to have to do. How is that going to shift over time? Also, how are we going to collaborate with humans and AI in the workforce? How's it going to work effectively? Where are co-pilots going to come in? And how are we going to keep a human in the loop? It covers domain-specific applications of large language models. So that means in your industry specific context. I think we'll see a lot more of that this year. Knowledge management, I think, is a great first step when it comes to utilizing AIs and chatbots in your organization. So, understanding how you can enable knowledge management is going to be a big step and a big part of this report and implications for future work in society. So, with this, you'll see that there's several different aspects, robust report. It's 41 slides. It just got released this week. If you check out underneath this post, you'll see a link to this report. But there's just overwhelming research that's showing that productivity is increasing, work are becoming automated with large language models, or at least have the abilities to be automated with AI. Copilot and Microsoft 365 saves time. I'm sure Google and their Bard are going to see the same thing. So any email client that's tied to your spreadsheets, tied to your office environment, is going to improve with Copilot. Um, Helping the least experience the most. So what's really cool about large language models and AI, that it's natural language processing. So just being able to communicate and use a language to code is a whole new next level and next step. So very interesting that we're seeing this new technology hit the workforce. Can these things do critical thinking? That's probably very much up to debate. I think that we're pushing towards more workflow driven areas, but we do understand that these systems have hallucinated or they've made up cases in the legal frameworks. But we are starting to better understand how these systems work and which areas they can do well versus which areas they lack when it comes to critical thinking. Um, AI can enhance micro productivity practices. I think that's pretty obvious. Analyzing, integrating may become more important skills than searching and creating. I think that's a big step that reinventing the foundational large language model in the Microsoft environment has really been done. So, how can we now integrate that across the organization? I think understanding which areas that are going to benefit the most from integrating AI into your workflows, and then enabling your team to create opportunities with AIs. That's going to be big. Constructing optimal prompts is difficult. I think this is a really cool slide. I think this is one of the neat things about prompt engineering. We're starting to see that people can prompt engineer, and some people still use large language models like ChatGPT as a search engine. And they're not really prompting. Like, you can give directives in prompts, where searching, you might be searching for an answer. So I think that's one thing that causes difficulty. Also, if you ask the AI one question, it may not be enough. So you may need a chain of thought process interacting with the AI to really build the best capabilities with using AI. So constructing optimal prompts is difficult, and hopefully we can share more information on how to do that here and how to provide context and relevance in your prompting. That's a great first start when you're entering into the AI usage space, and is going to be a problem for the next few years, getting everyone trained on what it is doing. Like I said, it's becoming easier. So that's what the research is finding. So learning to prompt more effectively. Congratulations to some people in the group that are really great at prompting. We have a really phenomenal member in the group that has just got a scholastic opportunity, John Nightingale, that they're going to publish his AI works. He's terms himself the AI whisperer, and I've seen some of his artwork that he's creating. And I tend to agree that people are learning to prompt more effectively and getting incredible controls outputs from their AI inputs and prompts. I think this is showing that we need a human-centered approach to AI collaboration. That's super important, that we keep a human in the loop. And I really view AI as being a very person-led initiative. So it's really you driving the AI to perform a task at this point. So that collaboration is something we need to figure out and realize that humans are always going to be a part of that introduction of a co-pilot into the workforce. Um, Appropriate rely is key. I'm very pro AI, but I definitely understand there's incorrect outputs. That's what this is saying. So we don't want to over rely on AI, and we don't want to think that we're going to turn on one AI and it's going to solve all of our problems at business. So understanding what it's very good at is super important. Uncertainty visualization can help create appropriate reliance and content in large language models, enabled search engine answers, improved humans' decision accuracy. So I think this goes back to keeping a human in the loop. If you're create new outputs based on your prompts, you're going to have a human in the loop, that cognitive function for checking. So understanding how we can rely on AI, what it's good at and what it's not so good at, and what it simply cannot do is very important. Co-authors check large language model outputs. So I read a little bit about this slide earlier. I thought it was very neat to think about co-auditing. So having a system that's checking the outputs of the AI. I think we're doing this as a person or people or teams right now. So I think it's very important to have an auditing process of the outputs. Make sure you're not just sending out any of the outputs an AI creates. Generative AI demands greater metacognition from users, but also has potential to support it. I think this is a very unique thing. I studied philosophy and psychology, and I always liked the idea of cognition. So, what does this mean? Um, in this concept, users of generative AI require self awareness and well calibrated confidence for effective interactions. I think it really means that you got to be smart, be a critical thinker. I think the Socratic method of question is very good with AIs, but also directing it. So actually driving the AI to meet the needs that you're going for, laying out strategy, but then you're interacting with the strategy, not just taking all of what the AI provides without any checks and balances. So the more that you interact with an AI, the more chain of thought prompting you do. I think that's what it means by metacognition from users, will help us calibrate AI, and it can become a better collaborative system if we're working with the AI and working with teams. Um, LLMs have made giant steps forward in multilingual performance, but there's still much to be done. It's fairly okay at understanding languages or translating languages, but that fairly okay may not be enough. I'm very interested to see how well language models can switch between different languages and maintain uh, relevant context. So that's very exciting to see that there's a big movement there, and they're trying to solve that issue. New systems point to how LLMs can aid creative activities. What I see with this, what's really cool is that we're starting to see a lot more artists create art or people create art that may not have been considered artists before. I'm definitely seeing that on social media channels. So I'm definitely seeing progress myself in people using AI creatively, but there's a lot of support and evidence of that too across industries. Bing Chat is frequently used for complex tasks. I see a lot of people use Bing Chat. It's open, it's a free model, and you can go to it immediately. So there's some really cool information about how people are utilizing Bing in this report. Fast AI and slow AI are terms they're coming up with. That just means different AIs experience is require different latencies. Some AIs are going to act faster and be more accurate. Some AIs may be slower. There's also this real confusing language of machine learning and things like um, operational processes that were already somewhat machine learning capable. Um, Interacting now with this world of AI that's generative AI. So I think there's going to be these mergings of AI with traditional legacy systems. And when that happens, it's a slower sort of output of AI. But I think we're going to see that. And maybe that's a quality that we prefer in some of our AIs in the future, where a fast AI just gives us an answer now, replies to this email in a way that meets our tone and our objectives. Slow AI may be analyzing an entire database of relevant information and then analyzing it to help us put together reports. Um, See that definitely coming. For software engineering, benefits of LLMs depend on the task. For sure, I think it's very solid right now at helping fixes with like bug fixes or understanding how maybe you should build something out. But I haven't seen anything that's completely low code node automated build everything off of a basic prompt that you can run for production ready and be $1 billion company yet. I haven't seen that, but I do think with GitHub Copilot and just the way these large language models are going to move into coding, it's going to enable so many people to do complex things that they just couldn't before. So software engineering, I think, is definitely in for a big push for people that may not have that coding background. New research highlights some of the benefits of LLM education. I can't wait till they have chatbots in education. I could only imagine learning about science from the scientist's persona. So you learn a little bit about the reasoning of what interested that person to pursue that type of science, and then maybe their science or their mathematics. So I think that's going to be very cool, and we'll see that in the future once education sort of understands how to distribute this sort of information out there. GPT-4 excels examinations for medical licensure and practice. It's really small to book knowledge, collegiate knowledge, and the medical field is definitely in that industry that's impacted by AI. Large language models will change the way social science research is probably very exciting to see. Instant AI feedback may improve real-time interactions and meetings. I use an AI assistant in every meeting. That's probably the easiest win that any business can do if they have any type of Google Meet or Teams or Zooms. Having an AI interaction there is a no-brainer. Great way to add AI to your business. Um, Retrospective AI feedback may improve long-term meeting interactions. We'll see. Meetings are never fun, so maybe there's some things we can learn with AI. AI may help leaders and teams plan and iterate on workflows. Obviously, I think the world's seeing that. Digital knowledge is moved from documents to dialogues. I cannot wait till I can speak conversationally or Siri or Alexa or Corona or Cornana the Microsoft AI. Obviously, I don't use that one very often. I can't wait till Siri becomes smart. That's going to change the way the world works. And if we can build workflows that you can go from a conversation into a workflow that creates a complex document, that's going to be awesome. Let me help address one of the greatest problems facing organizations: knowledge fragmentation. This, I agree. I think retrieval augmented generation will be one of the coolest things to hit the industry this year when it comes to knowledge sharing and collaboration. That's something you should definitely look into, and understanding how you can save and secure this knowledge, and how you can share some of this public knowledge that's not only good for your organization, but maybe your clients or customers. Um, the introduction of AI into any organization is inherently socio-technical process. There's people in the process when it. That is when it will be used. Knowledge worker perceptions of AI influence adoption. Yes, if you're afraid this is going to take your job, you're probably not going to want to use it. If you are checking out and looking at retirement and don't want to take on this new initiative and the company works, maybe you don't want to do this. If you're looking to and be AI influenced, I think this will be one of the best opportunities for you to adopt AI and use it effectively in your organization. So people are destined for adoption. Human AI working, monitoring, and take over challenges. Many jobs might increasingly require individual what intelligent systems are doing and intervene when needed. However, automation studies reveal potential challenges. There's still so many kinks to work out, and some teams needs things out. Start by automating mundane tasks before you think it's going to absolutely take over everyone's job and the entire workforce. We need to work to mitigate increased risk of moral crumple zones. Studies of past automations teach us that when new technologies are poorly integrated within work organizational arrangements, workers can unfairly take the blame when a crisis disaster unfolds. AI may be a great tool to use. People are still very important in the process, and the other processes you have in place are still very important. Try to make it work as a team, and I guess reduce blame. Blame is probably something that happens quite often and hard to mitigate in situations that have failed. Hopefully they can learn from it and move on. Early evidence shows disparities in adoption follow traditional digital divides. It looks like the college educated are way out in front, probably because AI impacts what they've learned and paid for the most. All the books that they learned in college, AI now knows all of them, and then all of the others. It's very good to see that people are adopting AI. I do think this is a great leverage point. You can start in education, but also in the workforce that levels the field for anyone in any culture, hopefully any language. So we're seeing some really great things. The jobs will likely have at least some of their tasks affected by LLMs. There's a great wins framework out there. The words, the I stands for images, the N stands for numbers, and the S stands for sound. So if any part of that type of work you're doing, it can be impacted by an AI. So we'll see how much impact it'll make and from which areas. Innovation is the secret sauce to job creation with new technologies. And I think this is one of the final slides, but also one of the really cool ones, that innovation versus automation is often a better framework than augmentation versus substitution. It's hard to sort of see this chart that Microsoft put together, or the teams, but it stands for the tasks that AI can do. So people are still so much stronger than AI, but all of the rectangle that has the parallel lines represents things that people can do with AI. So it actually increases our capabilities, and hopefully we're innovating new processes, not just automating the old. The future of work is a choice, not a predetermined destiny. Instead of how will AI affect work, the question should be, how do we want AI to affect work? I think that is a great question we should think about. And our call to action is to lead like a scientist. Science can provide insight about how to lead in this time of significant change. Through this period rapidly, we're learning a lot. We got a lot of hypothesis. We're trying and iterating. You got to continue to do that with AI, and that is what Microsoft is wrapping up the report and telling us to do. So think like a scientist and ask the question, how do we want AI to affect work? With that, we will wrap up this report below. You should definitely check it out. It makes for some interesting weekend reading. It's coming from Microsoft. So when you think of AI outside of Sam Altman and OpenAI, Microsoft is the leader in this space. So it's important to understand where they're coming from and where their vision's at. Check it out.